Here we are going to see the revision to tour 2. First of all, we are going to see what is user input in Java. User input means any data we are giving to the computer for processing. Okay. If we want to see some result for any expression or any calculation, we have to give some input to the computer. That is called as user input. Okay. Any information or data that is sent to a computer for processing is considered input. So if we give some input to a computer, it will process according to the instructions given by the computer and it produces the output. Okay. So programming involves taking in some data, processing it using some instructions and giving some meaningful result. Taking in some data is called input. The input of data just requires that some data is to be given to the program for processing. So, thus Java provides several ways of inserting data or input using Java. So, there are so many ways to give input to the computer for processing or calculation. So, input or inserting data in Java may be of three types. First one is initialization of variables. Second one is parameterized input and third one is scanner input. Okay, we are going to see one by one. First one is initialization of variables. So what is called initialization of variables? So initialization of variables means we are assigning some values to the variable to do a particular task. Okay, so initialization is the assignment of any initial value for a variable during declaration. For example, a equal to 5. So here we initialized the value of a as 5 and the data type is integer. Okay, so int a equal to 5 is a statement where 5 is stored initially into a memory location represented by the name a. So if we are initializing some value, initial value, it is called as initialization of a variable. Here the variable a is initialized with the value 5. So a variable that is assigned a value during declaration is called initialization. Okay, when we are writing the program, the program itself we are giving the value to a variable, it is called as initialization. Okay students, the next one is parameterized input. Parameterized input means the process of passing values to arguments in a method during execution is called parameterized input. So we are going to assign the variables inside the function. Okay, so during when we are running the program or compiling the program, we have to give the value during the time of execution. Okay, we are not giving the value inside the program. So in initialization of variables, we are giving the values to a variable inside the program. Here, when we run the program, if the program is error free, it will ask the values. So during the execution of the values, program we are going to give the values, that is called as the parameterized input. So this is the example to declare how the parameters are declared in a program. See, void add. Add is a function. So here we are using three variables, that is inside the bracket. So it is called as an arguments. So if the variables are declared inside the bracket, it is called as an arguments or it is called as a parameter. Okay, so here three variables we used, that is a, b and c. So we are not given any values to the variables a, b and c. So there is one variable we are using to store the addition of these values. So a, b, c are unknown values. So when we execute this program, it will ask the value for a, b and c. So during that time of execution, we are going to give the value of a and b. Okay, here you are able to see after you compile the program and run to the main window and right click On the class icon for execution, it will display the following pop-up menu. So when you right click this icon, it will display a pop-up menu. Here you are seeing this void add INTA, INDB, INDC. So here the parameters, that is parameters, they will ask the values during the time of execution. Okay students, so parameter list in a method should be separated by comma within parenthesis. Okay, so these are called as here these are called as the parameter list A, B and C. Here it is separated with commas and they are inside this bracket, that is called as the parenthesis. Okay students, next we are going to see what is scanner input. Okay, the scanner class is a class in java.util. So when we are using the scanner class, we are importing the package java.util package, which allows the user to read values of various data types. So see, the scanner class is a library class that is built in java.util package. Packages are simply folders that contain pre-compiled classes for the user to use it. This is done by importing the package before implementing the class. So when we are going to import this package java.util, this is the syntax, that is import java.util.scanner then semicolon, or otherwise you can write import java.util.star and semicolon. Okay, so next we are going to see a sample program to input 3 integers and find their sum by using the scanner class. Okay, so the first line is import java.util.scanner. This means we are importing the package to the scanner object. The package is java.util. Then class add. So we are going to add the 3 integers. So give the class name as add. You can use any class name, that is according to the user's choice. Then static void find sum of. This is a function. Then scanner sc equal to new scanner. The new scanner, new keyword is used to create an object. Okay, new scanner of system in dot in. So create the scanner object with the keyword new. Then here we are going to declare all the variables. All the variables are integers, so we write A, B, C, D as integer int. Then we are going to accept the values of these 3 values A, B, C. So system.out.println of enter the 3 integers. So all are integers, so we have to write the function like this, sc dot next int of. Okay, so we cannot write it in the same line in for all the variables. We cannot write like this, a comma b comma c equal to sc dot next int of. We cannot able to write like that. So individually we have to declare all the functions, that is using the member function and next int of is the scanner class to take integer as a input. Then here we are going to display the output by using the statement system.out.println of, then close all the curly braces. Okay students, this is the program. By using scanner class we are going to find the sum of 3 unknown integers. Okay, now we are going to see the commonly used errors. Errors means that is it is otherwise called as an bug. Okay, so a bug is an error, flaw, failure or fault in a program or statement that causes it to produce an incorrect or unexpected result or to behave in unintended ways. So now we are going to see what are the types of errors that will occur when we are executing a program. Okay, so types of errors. Errors in a program in Java can be broadly classified into 3 categories. First one is syntax error, second one is logical errors, and third one is runtime errors. Now we are going to see the detail of these errors one by one. First one is syntax error, and syntax error is an error in a syntax. So when we are writing a programming language, there is some syntax is there, we have to follow the syntax, that is some rules to write the program. We are following the rules to write or develop the software. So if the syntax is wrong, the program is wrong. Or a syntax error is an error in the syntax of a sequence of characters or tokens. Token means every small individual unit in a program is called as a token. That is intended to be written in a particular program. Uh, so if the sequence of characters according to Java is a case sensitive language. So wherever we have to use the capital letters, we have to use the capital letters. Wherever we have to use the small letters, we have to use the small letters. So in the place of capital letters, if you write small letter, then that is also a syntax error. Okay. So when we are writing the program, just we avoid the syntax errors in the program. If you are making syntax errors, the program will produce error and it will not execute the program. Then next one is logical error. So logical error means there is some logic. Okay, for example, um, if you find if you are going to find the greatest number among the given three numbers, so there you have to use the logic, that is a greater than b and a greater than c. These are the logics. Okay, so if the logic is error, then the program is an error. So logical error is a bug in a program that causes it to operate incorrectly, but not to terminate abnormally or crash. Okay, so the next one is a runtime error. So runtime error is a error that will occur during the execution of the program. Okay, when we are running the program, it will shows that no syntax error when you are giving the input. Okay, so um, so so this error, runtime error, is using only for example, if you going to find the exponential of a number or something, so if we are giving the values incorrectly, then it will make an error. Okay, so it is a runtime error. So students, now we are going to see some mathematical library methods. This is very important. In 2 marks and 4 marks, 2 marks, 3 marks or 4 marks, they will ask some functions and they will ask you to explain it, or sometimes they will give some examples and ask the output to display. So the first function is math.abs of a, that is absolute value. You are going to find the absolute value of some values. So returns the absolute value of its argument. Argument means the variable, where may be integer, long, float or double. Okay, here you see some examples are there. Math dot absolute of minus 15, so the output is 15. So it will give the positive value. Absolute means it will, if you give the negative value here, then it will produce only the positive value. Okay, so math dot abs of 15, so that is also 15. Math dot abs of 26.34, that is 26.34. If it is a negative value, then also it produces the positive value 26.34. The next function is math dot max of a and b. Here we have to use two arguments, that is two values. So max means we are going to find out the greatest value among the two values. So here returns the greatest among a and b, by a and may be type of integer, long, float or double. The data type will be anything, that is integer variable or a long variable or a float variable or a double value. Okay, so you have to mention the function like this, that is math dot max of 5 comma 6 means 6 is the greatest value, maximum value. The next one is 9.5 comma 4. So 9.5 is the greatest number. Here minus 0 0.0, 0 0.0, so the negative value is always minimum value, so the positive 0 we have taken. Math dot max of, if two values are same, it will take one value as a maximum value. Like the same way, the minimum value, minimum means the smallest value. Math dot min of a and b, here also we use two variables a and b. The values may be either integer, long, float or double. Okay, so minimum means given two values, we are going to find out the smallest value. Returns the smaller among a and b, where a and b may be type integer, long, float or double. See, math dot min of 5.6, so the minimum value, smallest value is 5. Math dot min of 9.5 comma 4, so 4 is the minimum value. Here the negative value is the minimum value. If two values are same, we'll take the take any one value. Okay, then math dot random of, so it returns the value greater than or equal to 0.0 and less than 1.0. So the return type of this math dot random is always double, because it will the value is a very big decimal value, so the data type is double. For example, math dot random of equal to this. Okay, this is the given value. Then math dot random of equal to this, so they will give some values, so that is the random value. So the data type of this random value is double. Okay, here you see 0 point, the number is going on like this, so we cannot take the return type as float. So if it is a big decimal value, the data type will be double. The next one is so math dot random is over. Math dot power of, so if you want to find the power of 2 power 3, 2 power 100, 8 power 1000, so it is very difficult to find the power of a very big value. So we are going to use a function math dot power of. Okay, the first value is the base value, the next value is the power value, where a and b are of the type double and raises b to the power of a. Okay, and it returns a power b. So this is the a is the first value is the base value, the next value is the power value. So math dot power of 2 comma 3 means 2 raised to 3. 2 raised to 3 means 2 into 2 into 2. 2 twos are 4, 4 twos are 8. So 8.0 you have to write, because the return type is double. Sometimes the power will take, here you see 4 power of 0 0.5 is 2.0. 2 power of 3.2, so it is a very big number, no? So that's why the return type of the power value is double. Okay, so next function is math dot sqrt of a, that is square root. If you are going to find out a square root of any value, we have to use the function math dot square root of that variable. It returns the square root of a number a, where a is a double. Here also the return type is double. See, math dot sqrt of 81. So 81 is the square of 9. 9 into 9 nines are 81. So the answer is 9.0. 144 means 12 into 12. So the answer is 12.0. Okay? The next one is math.cbrt, that is cube root. Square root means two numbers. Among the two numbers we are taking one number out. Cube root means the number is divided into three parts. Okay, from the three parts we are taken one out. It returns the cube root of a number a, where a is a double type variable. See, cube root of 27 means 3 into 3 into 3. 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. So the answer is 3.0. Then 64. 64 is divided into three parts, that is 4 into 4 into 4. 4 4s are 16. 16 into 4 is 64. So the answer is 4. Okay. So now we are going to see the next function, that is math.rindOf. RindOf. RindOf means it will round the value before the decimal point. Okay. It will round off the value. If the decimal value is equal to 5 or above 5, it will increment the value of an integer by 1. Okay. If the value of the decimal value is um, smaller than 5, then the same integer value it will take as a output. This method returns the double value that is closest to the value to the arguments, that is a, and is equal to a mathematical integer. If two double variables that are mathematical integers are equally closed, the result is the integer value that is even. See the example, math.rindOf 14.7. So 14.7, so the answer is 15.0. Here so you see 15.7, so it is 16.0. 14.3, so the answer is 14. 15.5, so the answer is 16. 14.5, so the answer is 15. Here it is a mistake, so it is 15. Okay, here the after point the 5 is there, so it is 15. Then minus 15.5, so it is minus 16. Minus 14.5, so it is minus 14, minus 15. Okay students, now we are going to see the next one, math.celof and math.floorof. These are very important functions. Every time they are asking for the exam. So math.clc 12.36. So if the decimal value is above 5 or below 5, so it will increment the value by 1. Okay. So if it is a negative value, so if it is a negative value and the value after this integer value is 5 or greater than 5, it will not increment the value, so it will take only the negative integer. Okay. Here you see math.celof 12.366, it is a positive value, so it is increment. See, after the decimal point the value is 3, then also it is incrementing the value by 1. Here you see minus 12.56, pi is there but it is a negative value, so it will not increment the value, so it round the value as minus 12.0. Okay. If it is after point the 0 is there, we are not going to increment any value, it will be as it is. So math.celof minus 12.0 means 12.0. Math.celof minus 0.3 means minus 0.0. Okay. The next one is math.floorof. Floorof means, see, 12.36, it is not incrementing any value, it will round off the value like this, that 12.0. 15.36 means 15.3. If it is a negative value, it will increment the value by 1. 0.56 means 0.0. Minus 0.56 means here it will increment the value, that is minus 1.0. Okay students, so the mathematical functions are over here. The continuation of this chapter we are going to see in the next part.